Hey,
Hey
everybody.
everyone.
Welcome to Tea and Biscuits with Tara and Bea. I'm Bea.
And I'm Tara.
Did it again. Sorry. But
I love it though.
I know to go backwards or like the opposite way now because it's flipped. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
I did
it
it the
looks
right way.
right. It looks right. You did it right.
I'm excited. I'm getting very good at putting you on the spot, Tara.
It's
Oh my
okay.
gosh,
I'm
let me
totally
look
fine
at
with
people
it.
saying that. Thank heavens. Thank heavens. Megan. Hey, Megan.
Oh, Megan.
Oh, hey, Paige, B, Tara, and all you other fabulous book lovers. Oh, I love it, Paige. I
Love
hope
the
you're
page.
feeling better, by the way. Hey, Christina.
Hey, Christina.
Hi, Kimberly. Oh, I love good afternoon, evening, morning, middle of the night. I think that's pretty accurate.
It's true. Whatever time you're here with us. Hello.
In one of my posts, I was like, oh, it's going to be a great afternoon. I'm like, wait, it's only going to be a great afternoon around here. I can't say that. Hello! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Holy cow, we have a huge group today. I'm super,
Yeah.
super excited. Abby Jean, Lisa, Phantom Rider. I love it. I love it.
Hey.
Mary,
Hey, Mary.
Sarah. Hello, everyone. This is so exciting. Terry. Hello, hello.
Everybody is here.
I know. I'm so, so excited. So I told Lauren Smith that what I wanted her to do was come on at 4:15 because I thought it
Okay.
might be weird for her to have to sit there while we do the wheel of names.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
I
just
get
said,
it.
and this is kind of unprecedented. And it's also only our second book club, but it's already we're having something unprecedented in that we have an author coming
But
on.
it's so
So
fun. I love that.
I know, I'm excited too. And I hope you guys don't get angry with me, but I thought it would be extra fun if she actually announces the winner. So I'm going to start spinning and then I'm going to hide it so we don't get to see it. But she's going to announce it.
Okay.
I'll meet her in the private chat. We'll see if this works out. Watch me not do it right and then it's just going to pop up and we'll all know. You know how it is.
It'll be fine.
Exactly.
I know there's so many tabs open, it's hard, but I feel like either way,
In my brain and out of my brain. Yeah, tabs everywhere. Oh, I'm feeling better. Oh, absolutely. Of course.
good.
6 book clubs in and you get the ghost of Jane Austen. Hey,
Wow.
that sounds pretty good. Hi, lady. How are you
Hello.
guys? This is so great. Okay, so it's 4:03. We're making great time so far, guys. We're going to have plenty of time to fill out the wheel of names, which I'm going to put on the screen. Nope, that's not it. Someday I'm gonna get so good at this. You guys aren't even gonna believe it. They're gonna be like, is she a professional? But that day is not today. Okay. So far, there were some people on Discord that told me ahead of time, just to be on the safe side, that they wanted to be added to the wheel. By the way, if you guys are just entering, this wheel is for a giveaway. Lauren Smith herself, the author, I know, is going to be giving away this book. And then I was going to have the other 2, and they're at my house. I'm actually at a hotel right now, which is random. But anyway, we're leaving. We're going back home afterwards because the kids wanted to swim. This is one of the few places the pool's still open. And we're like, okay, well. So I said, I have internet. I have a plug. So anyway, let's do it. So we're leaving after we're done with book club. So anyway, that's why it looks weird behind me. I'm in a hotel. But anywho, that's the other reason I don't have the other 2 books because I actually went ahead and bought all 3 of these. I was so excited. So anyway, I do have the other ones. Oh, you know what? Let me show you guys because I did do a let's see. I want to show you the other 2. Beautiful, beautiful. So this is our book club book this month, No Rest for the Wicked. And then she's also giving away book 2 in like Flynn, which follows the fabulous Nicholas Flynn.
I can't wait. I want to read that one.
We
love Flynn.
I know I do too. We'll have time to talk all about that. I'm so excited. And the book 3, Devil of the High Seas. She's going to be giving away all 3 of these to one lucky winner today. So I'm just so excited.
It's just so generous.
I know, right? She just randomly opted to do that. I asked her if she might be willing, fingers crossed, just to do a teeny little video blurb to send in saying something about the book that I thought would be neat. And she goes, how about I come on? And how about I do a giveaway? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. So, I mean, I'm just thrilled. I'm blown away. So, yes. Of course, my daughter is, okay, go downstairs. Go find daddy. Okay. I can't lock this door. It's away from everything, but I can't lock it. And they know, and they're taking advantage. Anyway, everybody's like, let's get back to the wheel, please. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so let's see. Who would like to enter? So far, we've got Terry, Megan, Deborah, and Abby Jean. Who else wants to be added to our wheel? Hey, Max. So happy you're joining us.
Christina does.
Christina's going to enter. Okay, Christina.
And then Megan just wants to make sure that it's her.
That
meant her, Megan, right?
That is, yes. Okay, good question.
So.
I don't think there is another Megan I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah, it's you, Megan. Don't worry. But that's a good question.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sherry. Hey, are these books free and on audio at the library for checkout? They're on Hoopla, AnyPlay, Kindle Unlimited.
I want to say they're on Kindle Unlimited, but I'd have to double check. I can't remember. Let me see.
It might be on Audible.
I mean, definitely check your library. They might be.
Yeah.
That all depends on your library, though.
Yes. Well, that is very true. Let's see. Paige wants to be added to the wheel. Paige.
And Sarah.
Oh, Sarah. Okay.
I was trying to help you just in case you can't see, because I know.
Did you talk, Tara? Did you want to say something? I feel so bad. Poor Tara. I'm always talking too much. Tara, can you read? Can you read them to me? Actually, how many are there? Is there anyone else?
So Deborah's already on. Hey, Deborah. And then Mary would like to be added.
Okay.
And Lainey.
Anybody else?
Lisa.
Okay.
Cherie. No, Cherie says they are free at the library. Cherie, let us know if you wanted to be added too. Terry says they are not on KU. Only the first book is on KU. Good to know.
See, she gets us hooked, and then we gotta buy the rest. I get it. I would do that.
I mean,
I bought all three of them. Oh no! Oh, there's Tara. Okay, she's thinking. All right, who else? Let's see. Do.
Phantom Rider says, is it open to international?
So, Terry, do you want to be added then? They're not on KU.
Terry's already on.
Book. Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go to a private chat because, believe it or not, Lauren Smith is waiting in the wings right now. So I'm going to ask. I don't know if I think she can hear us. I'm not sure. Oh no, my internet isn't good. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but you've been going out a little bit. I don't know if it was me or if it's you. I'm not sure which one.
Well, I've got great internet according to my computer, but then for some strange reason, it's now saying the connection's unstable, which is just super. I don't know why it's doing it. It'll be fine. Okay. Is
Lisa
giveaway
V who wanted to be added?
Okay. Lisa V.
Because I know there's Lisa M and Lisa V. And then Cherie says she wanted to be added.
Great.
And then Max Pink says the audiobooks are an Everend. Say that again.
Is it Sharee? Yes, there we are. Good. Yes. Everand. Oh, I've never checked Everand. Thank you for giving me a new resource. I'll have to look for that. Yeah, let's see.
And then B, the question is answered in the private chat. So if you want to know about the international.
Thank you. She can do international depending on the countries. I may not be able to sign them depending on which country. She may not be able to sign them depending on which country. UK, Australia, Canada are easy to do. We got a lot of Canadian friends, so this is good news.
Yes. Phantom Rider, let us know if one of those is for you or that's where you live.
Everand was formerly called Scribe. Is it called Scribed or Scribed?
Scribed. I always pronounced it as Scribed, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Anyone who wants to tell us, you guys know everything. If that platform rings a bell. Yes, it does. But again, we don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Megan and me are Canadian. Yep. Yay, Canada.
Go Canada. Our Canadian friends.
That's right. Oh, Phantom Writers in France. Oh, I didn't realize that. Just like Amina. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, is there anyone else that would like to be added? I know a lot of you went ahead and bought these on your own because you told me you did. I was like, okay, that's great. It's crazy expensive to ship. Oh, Lauren is saying it's crazy too expensive to ship to if the country is sort of unusual. I just shipped directly from Amazon. Oh, hence the no signing. Brilliant. But UK, Australia, and Canada can sign and mail through usual mail. I can do France via Amazon, but there won't be a signature. I love that she can sign these for most. I didn't even think about that. How exciting.
So amazing.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I also pronounce it like Tara. My dad disagrees.
Yeah, so tomato.
That's right.
Subscribe.
That's right. Okay. So if everybody's had a chance, nobody wants to be added. Are we ready to spin? What do you think? Are you there? Am I? Oh no. Are you there?
You're there.
Okay. I'm afraid it's saying I have great connection right now, but with my luck, it'll disappear in a second. Okay, here we go. I'm so excited, and I'm going to attempt to take it away, and then we're going to have Lauren come on and announce the winner. This is so exciting. Okay.
Yay,
everybody. Good luck to all. Good luck to all.
Happy spinning.
Happy spinning. Okay. Oh, I did it. Okay. All right, I've got the winner. You get the sound effects. All right, I'm gonna tell her in the private chat who it is. And then we will welcome our fabulous author. Come on, Lauren Smith.
Hi, everybody.
This is so exciting. Lauren, who is the winner?
Paige.
Yay, Paige.
Yay, Paige. So exciting. So exciting. Oh, look at Deborah. Wheel tease. I knew that wasn't gonna. Do you guys want to at least see it? Here, I'll show you. This is so cute. This is so. All right, let me see. Share screen. Doing it again. Someday I'll be good at this. There it is. If you guys want to see. There it is. It's proof. Paige is indeed the winner. Okie dokie. We did it. Okay, now going back to my lovely guest host. I'm just so excited. Let's see. I think I'm gonna do it this way. Nope, that's definitely not what I want. How can I do it? Make me nice and big. I wish I could switch it. Anyway, I'm not that good. Okay, we're gonna do it that way. Well, hello, Lauren Smith. Thank you for wading through all of that.
It was fun.
We're so excited you could be here today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk about a book that we all really enjoyed. No Rest for the Wicked. Oh, look at you.
I did tab. I tabbed.
I was just going to say, that looks like tabbing. I love it.
Yes, I have so much goodness to say. So
I'm so excited. That's wonderful. Yeah, I listened to it. And
okay.
The narrator, he's fantastic. He's perfect. Anyway, Lauren, tell us anything you want to tell us, basically. I'm just gonna listen. I'll have follow-up questions.
The funny thing about this is that I was a Pirates of the Caribbean kid generation. So, and by kid, I mean like high school. I was like, sophomore and junior when that started coming out. And the one thing that I really wanted was more steamy romance, but this is Disney, right? So you're going to get just like the setup, but no real delivery, except for that third movie where we kind of get some action at the very end. And I just thought, okay, well, pirate romances were one of the original historical romances. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm a history major, I'm going to get it right, and I'm a daughter of a naval officer, multi-generations of Navy people in my family. I almost went to the Naval Academy for college. We very deeply looked at it, and I went and toured it and everything. So like Navy stuff is in my blood. And I thought, well, okay, I'm going to do this right, so it's going to be historically accurate, but I wanted it to be fun too, and I always believe in really strong heroines. So even though I like alpha heroes, I want you to respect and feel like you're enjoying these heroines. And so in a lot of pirate bodice ripping stuff back in the old days, which I love to read the old stuff. I really do. I don't have any problems with it. I recognize the time period that it was written in for the audience that it was written in, and I still enjoy it deeply. And I like how crazy and zany those plots were. And I wanted to write something as crazy and zany, but with a little bit more active heroines. And so that was how my series was born.
Well, I love it.
Yes. I'm so thankful that this series was born. I'm so thankful. So just getting a little more background about you, you write historical romance, not primarily pirate then, I guess, because I've seen other things that you've done. So is this kind of a deviation from your typical historical romances?
Yeah, a little bit. So I started out in Regency. That was where I kind of cut my teeth. My first book was a Regency romance, but I say that my Regencies are not as polite as Bridgerton. Like, they are more crazy. My heroes are more broody, more wild. The first book about that one, my first book, was really fun because it involved an 18-year-old girl that gets kidnapped on the way to a ball by a duke and his 5 friends. And they're all like in their early 30s. And they're like, we can control an 18-year-old. No, they can't. They absolutely cannot. She runs circles around them, and it is hysterical because she's constantly escaping this house, and 5 grown men cannot keep her in one room. And it's so funny. And so that was kind of how I started. And so the funny thing about all my books is they're super connected. So reading a pirate book, you're going to have connections, 100 years later to my Regency series with characters. So if you're paying attention to the names, surnames and stuff, you're going to be like, wait, I think these are all, connected. It's all like these family trees kind of like, so it's like Easter eggs galore. Even with so I even do that with my paranormals because I write paranormal romances. So there's a scene in one of my modern dragon shifter books where they're in a gentleman's club in England and they're having scotch and, they're like walking around and stuff. And they see a portrait on the wall of one of my Regency rogues. And they're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy a couple hundred years ago. He was cool. Cause dragons live really long. So it's just like, if you read everything, you get super Easter eggs.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I love it. And you also write under the pen name Emma Castle. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
And that's contemporary, right?
It's contemporary, and then there's some kind of paranormal and some fantasy elements kind of in some of them. So if you've seen the TV show Lucifer, my book Midnight with the Devil is a lot like Lucifer. It's literally a devil who runs a nightclub, but there's no cop procedural, and it's about him basically like blackmailing a girl into being his like sex slave for like so many months to save her dad's life. But then you find out there's a deeper thing at work there, and he's snarky and he's sexy and funny and all that kind of stuff. So there's some paranormally angely things like on the periphery, but it's not like an angel romance. I wouldn't call it that. It's more like a devil romance. And then I have a Tarzan retelling. So that has some elements of fantasy, but it's really a tribute to the original Tarzan. But it's set in present day. So his family crashes their plane in the jungle and then he has to survive, and he's raised by gorillas. And I really researched Uganda where it's set, and everything's accurate. There's no, I have a whole note, kind of addressing the fact that I researched the country of Uganda, the people. So I didn't want anything to be cliche or racist or anything that was incorrect. So I do a good job of showing who the barbarian is in the story, which is the white guy.
I love it.
It's really neat. And I give some agency to the gorillas as well. And I kind of like that I showed sort of I don't want to say the humanity because they're animals, but at the same time, I firmly believe in the sentience of all creatures and that they do have feelings, they do have things, and they do love the way we do. And so there's all these kind of deeper things going on in that story. So there's a lot going on with Emma Castle, and I'm getting ready to blow it up with a new book, hopefully in the early spring, where I'm doing a labyrinth retelling. So think David Bowie, but instead of David Bowie, we've got like Henry Cavill, the Witcher style Fae King, who kidnaps a girl, who decides he doesn't want to be in her life anymore. And she has to get out of his labyrinth or else.
You've just made my TBR like this long.
I know, right? I know.
It's like I have 2 editions up for pre-order, so there's 2 different covers. So just pick whichever cover you like. One's sort of like a really cool painted illustration one, and one's sort of more like Dark Lord of the Rings looking kind of like Fae guy with like warrior, stuff. And so
I love it.
The Lord of the Labyrinth is what that's called.
Oh my goodness.
Lord of the Labyrinth. Yes. Maybe I'll get my husband to finally read one of these because he loves Labyrinth. So there we go. Okay, so speaking of covers, you just mentioned the covers for Lord of the Labyrinth. Let's talk about the covers for this series. I'm so excited to hear more and have you share with everybody. I went ahead and made a slideshow, and we would just love to have you talk a little bit about these.
So books 1 and 2, I actually got to pick the models and the outfits. And, we worked really closely on making sure that they were 17th century or 18th century, 1700s gowns appropriate. And, I wanted them to look piratical and kind of have the shirt chest feel. And the cute one on No Rest for the Wicked, that male model, he actually went to University of Tulsa and played football where I live. And it was so funny because I later met him in a photo shoot for a different situation. And the photographer was like, tell Lauren where you went to school. And he goes, oh, University of Tulsa. And I'm like, I live in Tulsa. My mom went to see it. It was like so funny. I was like, of all the random things. And he's been on a couple soap operas lately. He's had some like little walk-on roles with like little, not extras, but actual little side speaking gigs. So he's working on his acting career and he's just darling.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That is so fun. That is so fun. And so what about the third book? Did you not have as much input on that one, or?
For the third one, we jokingly in the secret cover world design, we call them monster covers, where you're mixing and matching various things. So the hero was originally in this photograph with another heroine, and I didn't really like her clothes or her, just all of that. She was kind of in like a tavern wench outfit. And I'm like, well, that's not really, these are like my, this in book 3, she specifically wears this very fancy dress for a very specific reason. And I thought, okay, she's got to be in the really cool rich gown. So I don't want her in like tavern wench. I mean, she's a pirate queen. She should not be in tavern wench stuff. So we found a different photo, and the original photo, the girl's face was just not, she had like some silly, like super Amazon, like $10 pirate hat on. I'm like, no. So we got a different face. And so we were doing like the whole like Frankenstein putting pieces together. But I love that this one looks the most Pirates of the Caribbean out of all of them, because she looks she's got some Keira Knightley kind of vibes going on, and her dress looks a lot like that dress from the movie that Jeffrey, what's his face, gives to her, makes her put on the red dress and everything. So yeah. I kind of love that.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is just so cool. Okay, so Christina has a good question. And I want to go back to comments too, because I've seen a bunch of great ones. I haven't had a chance to highlight any. How did you pick the models? Christina wants to know.
So there's a couple of different ways to do it. Usually the photographer has pre-existing relationships, and they usually will do a big set of photo shoots for multiple authors at the same time. And they'll send out a cast list to the authors that are participating. And they'll say, we have these 10 to 15 guy models, and we have these 10 to 15 girl models. Please fill out your form of first, second, and third guy choice, first, second, and third girl choice. Fill out your hair color choices, your hairstyles, clothing options. And I have actually, not on these covers, but on other covers, I have purchased costumes from like Etsy and from like other places. And I have shipped the costumes to the designer to make sure I get exactly the look that I want, which is kind of crazy, but I've been pretty lucky. I think I've never had a photo shoot where they haven't picked the model that I wanted. So I've been very lucky, but it's usually the photographer that has a cast. I do have this one funny story about popping a cover virgin's cherry for this really gorgeous blonde guy who everybody says he looks a little like Lord Debbing from Bridgerton, and it's on the cover of Wicked Rivals. So if you look up Wicked Rivals by me on Amazon, you'll see this guy. He's beautiful blonde guy. And he was a physical therapist, and he had done a casting call, and he had submitted his stuff. And this was for not a photographer that did these photo shoots, but for another one that I work with. And I picked him, and she emailed me back and she goes, he's never done cover modeling before. And he is so excited. And I was like, are you telling me I popped his cherry? That's insane. And now he's been on a couple movies as like side bits, where he's like playing like an extra in a hospital, and he has like a couple speaking roles. And so he, like another guy, it's been really fun to watch these guys start with cover art, and then there he is. He's just gorgeous. And I love the cover. Yeah, so he's a physical therapist, and like it's so cute because I'll message him on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, I've updated the cover, I've added some stuff. Do you want another print copy? And he's like, yes, I love them. So he always wants me to send him print copies, which is adorable.
I love it.
And this book is really good if you love a good enemies to lovers that's super hot with two people who think they're cold and in super control. And then when they hit each other, it's basically just like, boom, fire. Like that's these two. They literally play a game of strip chess. And when she loses strip chess, she has to marry him. And his younger brother lied and said that the older brother, the guy in the photo, couldn't play chess very well. So she thinks she's got it, where she's going to just totally destroy him and win this argument that they're having. And he's like, well, I could play. And she's like, oh no, he totally can't. His brother said he's crap at this. And then he, of course, it was not an easy game. Like she really held her own because she's decent at chess. But yeah, he beat her and it had fun consequences.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I think you're just adding more and more and more to everybody's TBRs. I love it so much.
I tell you, the League series is, if you want to go for a hell of a ride, that series, I mean, I'm writing book 19 right now. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And that brings me back to this. How many books are in this series?
3 so far, and I will be doing 2 more. So book 1 is Dominic, of course. And if you read the book already, Dominic, you find out, has 2 little twins, a brother and a sister, that are a decade or so younger than him. And so books 4 and no, books 3 is Dominic's little sister. Book 4, which I have not written yet, will be Dominic's little brother. And then book 5 will be Dominic's daughter and Flynn's son getting married and having.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I love this.
I love it.
And the cover for that one, so it's funny how things start. So I actually had the cover for book 5 designed, not knowing what stories I was going to write. I just went to my designer and I said, I have this insane stock image and I need a cover. And she made it. And then it was like that cover alone created the entire rest of the series.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
let me see if I can let's see if I can email it to you. That way you can share it really fast, because it's just yeah. Because you're just gonna be like, oh my God, I totally see how this spawned everything, right?
I'm so excited. Okay, while you're sending me an email, do you have my email? You have it, right?
Yes,
or do
I
you
think
need
so.
it?
I'm pretty sure I got it.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay,
while you're emailing me, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm sending you the book 4 and book 5, so you can see the other 2 books as well.
I'm so excited. Oh, this is so fun. Deborah says, I absolutely flew through this book. It was so good. And Megan says, I loved the narrator too. Paige says, thank you so much. Let me know what you need. Oh, great. I love it. And Paige is going to, we'll make sure you guys get in touch, or I'll link you guys up. How about I do that? I'll do that.
Yeah. As long as you can give me her. Yeah.
We'll do it. We'll make it easy. In fact, Paige, do you need my email? I'm just going to put my email in the comments, because why not? In case you want to email me, Paige, and then I can forward it along to Lauren. Okay. Boop. Okay. And then let's see. I listened to the audio too. I'm so bummed he doesn't do the other books. Oh man. I bet it would.
He was really hard to book for the first one. We got lucky. And then books 2, he was just incredibly busy. So we had Shane East. So I don't know if anybody knows who Shane East is, but he's got a very delicious voice. So he does book 2. And then Nathaniel Priestley will be doing book 3. And I really love Nathaniel because he can do an incredible range of voices. And to have somebody who can get all these different accents, all these different ages, and then get, have cultured tones and gruff tones. I like someone that can, because with a pirate book, you have a crew, you have a huge cast of characters. And so when I'm picking audio narrators, I really try to make sure that I can get somebody that can do that huge range. And I've been really pleased with Nathaniel lately. He's done some really good work.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I'm so excited. I love Shane East, and I'm excited about this gentleman.
Yeah.
Stock says, my swash was definitely buckled, which is high praise. Hello, everyone. Oh, I need to read even more now. Hey, April. Oh, and Crystal said hi too. She's arrived. I love this book. I want to read everything now that I know they're interconnected.
Yeah.
Same.
Yes.
Same. Hey, you go to the effort of creating an earldom, you earn the right to use that for several generations.
Absolutely. I mean, so the funny thing is, like, I always explain to people, I'm like, all of these books live in my head in the same, basically the same universe. So, I'm like telling you that there's dragons and vampires, but there's also rogues and, other stuff and billionaires. And so everything is deeply tied in. I mean, even my contemporaries have these little characters that feed through other things. And so I even wrote a World War II book. And so the League of Rogues heroes had descendants that fought in the war that were the heroes in that. And that was just really amazing to me, because I know from real history about World War II, you read about these, young men from these titled families who went on to be amazing officers and had these incredible careers where they were commandos and RAF pilots and stuff. But yet, they're the sons of earls and they're putting themselves on the line just along with, the average man. And so I thought that was an important thing to show, was that, when the British fought the war, there was this unbelievable, the titled and the common people were really in that war together. And it was such a great equalizer in a really good way. And so I was like, well, of course my rogues are going to be out there, doing World War II stuff. And so that was incredible, because there was a scene where one of my heroes comes back from the war, and he was a commando, and he didn't even see his son being born, and didn't see his son for 5 years because he was in some of the deepest battles. And when he comes back, he's walking through the house, and he has what's called the Rogues Gallery in one of his rooms in his manor house. And he's walking with his wife, and they're holding his little 4-year-old son, for the first time since he came back from the war. And he's looking at all of his ancestors and thinking about how lucky he is to be there. And just, it was like, oh my gosh, I'll cry if I talk about that book. That book is, if you want to cry your eyes out, the wartime matchmakers will just break you and then remake you and then make you happy at the very end. So, and it's based on a true story about 2 women who founded London's first dating agency, which was so cool. Like, these 2 girls in their 20s were just like, we're going to match people based on, stuff. And like, they were so good at it. They only had 3 people out of 2,000 couples in 6 years divorce. Like, they were that good.
What?
Yeah.
Wow, that is good.
It's so amazing. Their actual company was called the Marriage Bureau. Like, how British and perfect is
that? Yes.
The Marriage Bureau.
So cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is amazing. Frankenstein Covers is a Frankenstein pirate mashup in the works.
I will say that nothing is impossible, because I have literally, so this is how random I am, because I came to romance really, really late in life. So I didn't read a lot of romance until I was actually in law school, and I didn't really have an understanding of it. So I read everything. But so when I came to romance, I'm like, oh, well, I can write anything and then just put a really strong romance arc in it. And so that's how I kind of approach romance writing, is I'm like, it's a normal, crazy adventure, but this super strong, steamy romance story in it. So I even just like wrote a whole Choose the Bear story that I'm in edits on. So like that whole question on the internet, if you're a woman in the woods, do you choose a man or a bear? And I'm like, well, of course, this is a bear shifter story. The bear shifter is going to kill this guy that's hurting her, and then she's going to choose the bear, but it's also a man. So that's coming up soon. Because I'm like, why not, right?
Exactly. I'm already here for it. I'm here for it. Absolutely. Max had a great question. Do you write multiple books at once or focus on one project at a time?
So I would say that I usually write one at a time, but I am usually brainstorming. I don't plot ahead. I write everything kind of by the seat of my pants, but my brain is usually ticking on about kind of general character development and character arcs for the next book. But there were a couple times in my life where I have written 2 books at once. Like, I'd write half a chapter in the morning on one and half a chapter in the afternoon on another. But that is very hard to do.
I bet.
Yeah. And usually while you're writing one, you've got another one with editors. There's kind of always this cycle that you're going through. So while you're writing something, the editors have something else, and then you're getting ready to release something else. So it's kind of always a process. You're always multitasking, essentially.
Wow. This is amazing. This is amazing. April asks, I just read Devil at the Gates. Do you have plans for any more Gothic books?
Oh boy. So, okay, my natural writing voice is Gothic. Like, it's one of those funny things, like Gothics and vampires. Like, I don't know why I don't just write nothing but those, because Gothic stuff and vampire things are like 2 of my favorite things. But which Devil at the Gates is, for anyone who hasn't read, it's not a vampire story. I just have to talk about vampires because I love vampires. But,
it's so many
yeah, I have so many plans for vampires. I do have tons of historical Gothics planned to follow in the wake of Devil at the Gates, and it will probably either be a loosely connected character series or standalones that may have little like Easter eggs. And then I do have another Gothic out that's a really fun Gothic, and I'm actually excited to talk about this. It's called The Haunting of Stormcliff Hall, and it's out currently in ebook and print and audio right now, but I'm getting ready to, hopefully by end of October, release a special, what I'm calling the Haunted Edition, because this has some extra content where you read it and you feel like the book is actually haunted and talking to you, and there's like blood splatters on the pages and just a couple of some things like that, just like little Easter eggs on either at the beginning and the end of the book that just kind of make you feel like, if anybody's read The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova, it's kind of like that, where you just feel like there's like some things that have happened to this book and now you're connected to its haunted history. So it'll be a really, really fun edition, and the cover for that is going to change. The Haunted Edition is going to have, if you've seen Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix, that kind of like grayish purple cast with tan, and then there's that house in the background with like a light shining out on the one window, really creepy. It has that kind of cover, and it's going to be super cool. And that story has a past story set in the Regency, and then there's a modern day two people trying to deal with the haunting as a result from what happened in the Regency storyline. So there's like these journal entries that they're reading that are like flashbacks to the Regency, but most of the book is set present day, super spooky England castle. Yeah.
And what's the title of that one again? What's the title?
The Haunting. What? No, my God, I'm getting it wrong. The Shadows of Stormcliff Hall. My bad. Because I'm already thinking about the next book in the series, which will be The Haunting of Wolf Hall. So it's already like The Shadows of Stormcliff Hall. That's
Okay, I think I found it. I'm gonna pop it up so everybody can see. But you said there's gonna be a new cover. Oh, this one looks fun.
Yeah. This one will still be available. We're adding the creepy house one.
Ooh, I'm excited to see both. Oh my gosh, how fun.
Wow.
How fun. And I see the house in the background. Oh, it's perfect for spooky season.
Oh, yes. It's very perfect for Halloween.
I love it. I love it. Okay. And Paige has a super question. How do you know how many books will be in a series at the start, or does it just evolve?
I would say yes, it's a both to that question. So some series I've gone in and I'm saying, this is a trilogy, there won't be any more. This is, like I've got two series that I just started last fall and early this spring, that are going to both be just two trilogies, one 3 books and the other 3 books. The League, that was an evolve thing. I started writing those. I planned 6 characters and 6 books, but I didn't even finish the 6th guy until book 9, because a bunch of other side characters decided to have stories. And then ever since then, all the siblings of all these hilarious rogues decided to have their stories, and I get emails constantly. And so book 19 that's coming out, everybody's been waiting for this guy's story since book 4.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but he's one of those characters that has teased you all through the series, because he's the one that lied about the chess game. He also robbed the heroine's coach in book 4, and he looks just like his brother, but he's wearing a mask. So later, she had shot him in the shoulder as he rode away after robbing her as a highwayman, and she gets in to the Baron's house, the main hero, and she's like, "You robbed my coach," and she punches his shoulder, and he's like, "Why did you punch me?" She's like, "You're supposed to react. I shot you." And he's like, "Well, clearly I'm not shot. So what are you talking about?" And he later finds out, he's like, "My brother robbing coaches again." So this guy is just like that favorite tomcat that just like comes around every book and has some hilarious side scene where he gets somebody else into trouble, or like doesn't get somebody out of trouble who needs to be out of trouble. Instead, he's sitting there. He's the literal popcorn eating guy that's like, "This is fun. I'm going to watch you two have a disaster in this book while I'm eating popcorn." Like, he's very much that character, but now he's getting his own book. And of course, he adopted an orphan, a Scottish orphan or technically she adopted him and wouldn't go home with the couple that originally wanted her. She's like, "No, he's my new papa." And he's like, "What? I don't know anything about kids. Oh, I'm going to go buy her $10 million.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah,
that is so cute. I love it. I love it. I love this book and book 2. Oh, so Mary's already read book 2. This was my introduction to Lauren, and I'm all in, looking to get her backlist. Awesome.
Excellent. There's 85 novels, so get reading.
We expect a full report next week. Lauren, I was the only one in the group who had read you before. I think that, yeah, that's true, Terry.
Yay,
I really
thank you.
choose your book. Because when in doubt, choose a pirate. Yeah, history is awesome. We love it in our stories. You are so hilarious, Lauren.
Well, I mean, these books are crazy and they're zany, and I feel like they match my personality. So if you met me in public, I'd be like really quiet. But when I get to talking about stuff, I'm like, oh, I can talk about my books forever and be crazy. So
that's awesome. I love it. I was looking up No Rest for the Wicked and saw that it was connected to the Pirates of Britannica. Can you talk about being involved in the multi-author series? Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So this is kind of an interesting thing. So Dragon Blade Publishing is run by a wonderful author, Catherine Levesque, who is a friend of mine, and she tries to give authors a chance to participate in group projects, or she will publish their single stuff. And she knows that if some authors write in group projects, you can get more exposure. And at the time, I didn't have a pirate audience, and I thought, well, sometimes it's easier to kind of go into a group project and get exposed to people who are already looking, because pirates a couple of years ago was kind of a hard sell. We released this book, I think it was like 2019-ish or something like that. And
Really?
back then people weren't asking for pirate books. It was kind of weird. Now I feel like in every reader group I see looking for Pirates of the Caribbean Rex, and I'm like, oh my God, now you guys want to read about pirates. But back then it was such a hard sell to be like, please read this pirate book. They're like, oh, now pirates. I'm like, what's wrong with pirates? How do you not like pirates? But that was like my reaction, and someone's looking at me like I'm crazy. So I decided to Catherine, and I said, hey, I see you've got this Pirates of Britannica that's kind of like an ongoing series, and like each author's kind of written like one book in there. And so they don't really have connected characters so much. Like I think the very first book takes place in like kind of like Viking pirate time. So we're talking like Vikings in the 1000s. And so she's like, you can set it in any time period as long as pirates make sense. And then you have this kind of lore in the beginning of the book. So I published that for, I think it was with her for either a year or 2 years. And then when the contract was expired, I was able to revert the rights. And at that point I was like, oh, I want to put a steamy couple on the cover, and I want to rebrand and then do my series, because I'd already been planning at that point. Flynn had to have a story, and the siblings had to have a story. And so by that point I knew what I wanted to do. So I wanted to get it back into my Lauren Smith universe and then go forward with the rest of the series that I kind of planned in my head.
That's amazing. Wow. I love what Deborah says. She goes, New year long readathon. Yes. I think it would be multiple years.
I love it. It would be crazy if someone would be like, I'm going to do nothing but read Lauren Smith books in 1 year. And I'd be like, oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Oh, Terry has another fun quote thing to say. Catherine Levesque is the queen of medieval romance. I love her. Lauren, I discover you through House of Devon. I have a couple of books read in Pirates of Britannia or Britannia. Is it Britannia or Britannica? I can't. Series. I think I've seen
Britannia, but she's wonderful. And the House of Devon is a really fun, that was Tempting the Footman. My heroine was an heiress, and she really didn't want to marry her creepy cousin's friend. So she totally was like, her grandma kind of bribed a footman to like seduce her and like show her why it's worth like getting married to a good guy. And like, yeah. And he's like the bastard son of like an earl. And yeah. So
I love it.
Reverse power dynamic, but yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I want to look into that Marriage Makers series. That's so fun. So fun. And if anybody has more questions to ask Lauren, feel free to pop them up in the chat. I put down a couple things. What inspired you? No, you already told us what inspired you to write pirate romance. You were talking about the movies and all that good stuff. I love that. Okay, so speaking specifically about the book that we just finished, No Rest for the Wicked, who would you say is your favorite character? Or is it too hard to choose?
It is hard because you like each character for a different reason. So I always love a really good wounded hero like Dom, who went through something horrific and who has made his bed and now he's going to lie in it. And he's like, this is my life now. I'm in this. I'm not trying to go back. I'm going to move forward and make the best of things. And I like that kind of mentality. I like his character for that. And then I love Roberta because, you know, the ship is sinking and she's hiding and she's like forcing her poor maid to like change into Ben's clothes. And she's like, we're totally going to pull it off. No one will ever know we're not boys. And her maid is like, we are so going to die. You know, like, I'm very much that person like in a crisis of like, here's our plan. Here's what we're going to do. Switch outfits. We're going to do this. And everyone else is like, we're going to die. You know, so a lot of Roberta was a lot of me too. And then honestly, Flynn has such a deep spot in my heart because who doesn't love the best friend that's like, I will literally go to the ends of the earth for you, or in his phrase, to the farthest horizon is like his catchphrase for like, I'm your man till the end of the line. So he was like, the way I saw it was like, you know, you had, it was sort of like Bucky and Iron Man, kind of like from Captain America. You have like, you know, Flynn is very much like Captain Rogers, you know, and Bucky is more like the wild badass that's like got off the reservation and become the Winter Soldier. Like that is their dynamic. So I love it. I just love having these really strong male relationships, and the girls have the strong female relationships too. But I just really love showing that these men have these strong brotherhood kind of ties, and just that Flynn's like, even after all these years, he's like, I will do whatever I can to help you, my friend, and I'm not going to try to turn you into the Navy. He's like, I only joined the Navy to find you, you know. And he's like, and this whole time I thought you ditched me, you know. And he, so it's just, and I love their dynamic too, because, you know, Roberta has known Flynn on this crossing, and he's the kind of guy that if she had never met Dominic, that's the kind of guy she would have ended up with. But yet they don't actually love each other, but they both love Dominic. And as you saw in the end, you know, Dominic's like, take her, marry her, then I'll know she's with somebody good. Like, you could only ask that of a real friend, you know. And of course they're both like, screw that, we're gonna bust him out, you know. So I just love that. And and that dynamic in book 2. So if you haven't read book 2 yet, you know, that all kind of comes back into play. And
I love it. I love it so much. I love when he says, when you mentioned about the part with the, you know, I'll follow you to the furthest horizon, and he goes, Roberta's my furthest horizon. Oh,
I feel like I tabbed that when he realizes that, and like I like tabbed it because I loved it. He's like, now I'm not Nick is not the only one that I'll do.
Yeah, when you expand that, like it's like the pirate level of eternal love and devotion. And it's funny because when I'm writing, these lines just kind of come out of nowhere, like characters. That's why I like to not plan, because the characters, when I'm really deep in the zone, they really do talk to me, and they give me these incredible lines where I write it and I'm just like, oh my God. Like that happened with the Tarzan book. Like the line for the Tarzan book, the very last line is like something that I was just like writing along, and then I stopped and looked down at what I'd written, and I just burst into tears. I was like, how did I dream this up?
Oh, I love it.
So I don't want to spoil it, but go read Love in the Wild under the Emma Castle name, like that very last line, just like, and I chose the daughter's name, like it all just came to me in that moment. It was like, boom.
Oh my gosh, so exciting.
I have so many of like just some quotes that are just like beautifully written, and like I just loved some of them. But one, it's she wants to be here. She wants this life of freedom as much as I do. And that's when she's like staring off into the sea, and he realizes in the beginning kind of like that she loves the ocean and the sea as much as, you know, he does. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, and I think that's one of the most important things that I try to do in romance novels is show that even these people from two very different worlds, like the hero will always respect where their heroine's coming from and what she wants out of life. Even though we know historically the average woman did not have that great of freedoms and opportunities, and men had this really limited view, there were standout men. There were men who did believe their wives were equal, that did have these incredibly intelligent wives who wanted things above and beyond what the universe was telling them they were allowed to. You know, that you know, it is okay to want to be married and to have children, but it is also okay to want that freedom, to want other careers. Like I have these 2 Victorian novels, and one of the Care and Feeding of Rogues, I have a scientist heroine, and she has never wanted to get married because she knew the second she did it would shut off everything that she loved, because the average Victorian gentleman would be like, you're not looking in microscopes anymore. You're not going to visit any, you know, plant societies. You're not going to study any creatures. You're not meeting with other women to talk about how engineering works or building bridges or doing any kind, you know. And I wanted to show that there were men that did allow this and that did encourage it, because otherwise women wouldn't have made the headway. Like I don't want to say that it was because of men we are where we are today, but there were men that supported us and helped us make the what we've made today. And so I just want to make sure that when these people read my romance novels, that they understand that the message is that you can be in a relationship with somebody and they will truly, if they love you, they will only want what you want and what's best for you. And that's an important thing to recognize. So that loving a man doesn't mean sacrificing your autonomy. It doesn't mean sacrificing your happiness or your desires. A truly good man will be like, honey, let's go to the bookstore and I'll buy you everything. Honey, let me go take you to your dream job interview. Or honey, let's go travel the world. Whatever you want to do, visit the countries you want. I'm not just going to stay at home and, watch football all weekend and do nothing while you clean the house. Like, we need to set bars for ourselves. And so I want to show that in my books.
I would say, Lauren, I feel like you just jumped out of my head. That's like my favorite thing. You're an auto-buy author for me, but that sounds like I'd have to buy 80 books right now, and I don't think I have the budget.
A month, it'll be fine.
I love it so much. Oh my gosh. Awesome. So for No Rest for the Wicked, what would you say is a scene that was your favorite, or that you get people comment on the most? Like, what really resonates with you or with your audience?
Oh God. Okay. Funnily enough, I think there's maybe two scenes. I think the scene where Dominic is in the jail on the ship when he's in, and he's talking to Flynn and begging him to do this thing for him, go marry Roberta and get her out of there. I like that scene. But I think maybe my favorite scene might be when the dad rescues him from hanging.
Yeah.
Because he and the dad had such a strained relationship. And usually I'm killing off the parents in my books. Usually people's parents are dead. So it's really fun to have this, parent dynamic to really play with, because, in order to have a title, most men have to have lost a dad, So Dominic has a living father, but yet he's lost him in a sense that this fight is what led him to leave the house, and leaving the house is what led him to being kidnapped. And then being kidnapped is what led him to that horrible life on that ship by that pirate that did unspeakable things to him for so many years. And basically he lost who he was. He lost his family and he lost the life as he knew it because of that one fight with his father. And yet his father, the second he finds out his child is alive, literally moves heaven and earth to do what he needs to do to save his son, at risk of even being killed by the governor himself. So I just thought that scene said everything about, because I love complex, dynamic characters who teach you things about forgiving the people who you truly love and not wasting your time on the people who don't deserve that forgiveness. And his dad and him, that was a relationship that needed to be repaired because he was young and his father was stubborn and trying to do all these things. And I just love the complexity of that.
Wow. Yeah. That's so powerful. It's so
such
powerful.
A lovely scene too. It showed just how much they, like, his family, even when they came back and the twins came and saw, and then the mom came, and that scene was just like, oh my goodness, this reunion that they have, and they know it's him. But when she left, like, you didn't know, like, there was that we think it's Dom, but we're not sure. Exactly. And I was like, and she's like, are you real? And she like touches him, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I'm a mom, and I'm like, oh,
you can only imagine, right?
Yeah. It was lovely.
I love it. Yeah, Phantom Rider. I really love the scenes with his family. Yes, I love that.
I love how she like questions too at the end. She's like, "Are you gonna want me? Now that you have an heir to an earldom, are you gonna want me, just a naval officer's daughter?" And he's like, "Yeah, like
yeah." Yeah, I had a couple readers that were like mad about her questioning that, but like I have to defend it. She on the water, she knew who she was, but on land, she was just another girl in London who didn't have much to offer. And so she's thinking, okay, as a naval officer's wife, if I was allowed to travel and be on these boats, I knew myself, I had commanded these ships, I could do all these things, I understood that world. But she's like, ballrooms in London, that has never been Roberta's life. So when she's faced with the fact that he is going to be living this other situation now. And she's like, well, where do I fit in with that? So I thought it was really important for the readers to actually really see her being truly vulnerable in a real moment where her world is shaken up in that last minute. I don't believe in third act breakups too much. I think a lot of times if I write that, it's very, very rare, mainly because I don't think third act breakups are that realistic. And I can find them very irritating. I like to do what are called like external world conflict breakups, where, you know, someone's kidnapped, someone's whatever, or they have to be pulled apart for some other reason other than they're just like, well, I don't think you like me anymore.
Yes.
So I try to avoid that kind of stuff. And so my writing can be a little different that way. But I just thought it was really important to show that she had this vulnerability, because through the whole book, she's just been this fire plug that's like, you know, she even takes a whipping on the ship, you know?
Right.
Like, you know, that didn't scare her really so much as losing him in the end, you know, because she's not a normal girl kind of thing. So.
Right. Oh my goodness. I love it.
I really liked too. I have one more, I promise, and then I'll stop.
No, go, do it.
I love
Tara.
that she like kissed his scars. That tenderness and that scene of him opening up to her about his past trauma and then her trying to kiss his scars. And I was just like, okay, this is it. I love it. I know.
I don't say that I'm obsessed with scars, but I think they're such a they're an important, you know, expectation of accepting. They're the external outward imperfections that we worry about, you know, and they reflect the inner, you know, imperfections that we worry about. And so for characters, that's such a beautiful way for them to say, I accept you as you are, by doing those kind of scenes. So I always have some kind of, you know, something in there. And I do. Yeah, I'm obsessed with scars, basically.
I love it. And then when we found out that he's awake, I was like, oh, he was awake.
And he lets her do it, and I'm just like,
yeah. He's like trying to figure out, like, wait a minute, what's happening here? That was fascinating.
Yeah,
zig when I thought it was gonna zag. Like, he's like, I don't know if I like the way she's feeling about me right now. Like, he's like, I just loved it. I love it. Max says, I love the big climactic fight. More heroines should headbutt villains. Yes, that was so good.
Yes.
When they get the telescope out and he's like, sir, you gotta see this.
Right. I was like, and then he like chuckles and he's like, that's, you know, he's like, that's my Robbie.
Robbie. Oh, that's so good. So good.
I work
Megan
really
says,
hard
I
on the
love
fight
scenes.
I rewatch all the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, you know, yeah, because if you're having to visualize fight scenes, that's actually really hard. So I always rewatch all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies before I write one, just to kind of get my head in like a visualizing headspace, because they do so much. And it's, you know, you want to make sure this fight scenes feel real. And then I literally have about 20 pirate books and 20 naval books. And I have whole books about how ships maneuver in naval battles that I have to read through too. And like, just so that when I'm describing things, you guys are getting like the tip of the iceberg, and there's like all this stuff that I read beneath it that you don't see that tries to make it to the teeny top, so the teeny tip of the iceberg makes sense.
That's amazing. I love that. I was talking to another author recently who was saying, like, it's part of a gift to know what you don't need to tell them. Like, show them as much as you can, but also don't give them way too much information, even if you're excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard, because I remember when I was first starting out, like, one of the things you learn is you might love the fact that this heroine has a teacup from her grandmother, but if that teacup doesn't play a role in the story or doesn't define who she is, you can't mention the teacup, you know? So it's kind of stuff like that. You have to figure out what is important and what's not.
Yeah. There you go. Smart. Megan said, I loved how we got the reunion with his family and closure with how their lives are changed. Yes, so true. So true.
And so the funny thing about the closure on so when you get to book 3, which is Josephine, so Dominic's little sister, right? The hero of that story is another pirate that is in Dominic's, like, they know each other, you know, pirate, like, what's up, man, you know, kind of thing. And literally he kidnaps her. I'm not giving anything away, it's in the blurb, but he kidnaps Josephine Dominic's little sister, and they steal a ship out of the harbor, and it happens to be Dominic's like anniversary ship for his wife that they were going to steal on. And she gets on the ship and she's like, "Oh, you are in so much trouble." And he's like, "Why?" She goes, "You stole my ship, my brother's ship." He's like, "I don't care who your brother is." She's like, "He's Dominic so." And he goes, "Wait, Dominic so and so." He's like, "Oh fuck, get us out of the harbor now." And he's like telling his name, like, burn it. He's like, "We're gonna be in so much trouble. Like, go." So great.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. This book was exactly what I was needing to read. I laughed, swooned, and cried. It just hit all the feels. Truly. And I love how it was such a good, I know this sounds really cliche, but I felt like a really good pirate book. Like I've read pirate books before. They're just kind of like, meh. But I mean, we had like a storm and with all the fighting and then the scene where he calls everyone to the, I don't know ships at all, but like the middle part of the ship when he's like, "Everybody come down." Like I could really visualize like everybody coming down to the middle of the ship so they could see poor Robbie get a tongue lashing and then an actual lashing. But yeah, I just felt like, man, this is like the perfect pirate book. Like if you want a good pirate romance, I tell you, it was just so good. I see a new author's list being added to the reading journal. I love all of these shenanigans, right, Deborah? So true. We've been doing reading journals in our Discord too. We've been talking about that. I love it. Wasn't it Vonnegut who said every sentence should advance the plot or reveal character? Ooh.
Absolutely. Yes, that is it.
Oh,
Too. I like that. That's much simpler than what I said, and I like that better. I'm going to remember that.
It was Vonnegut who said. So good. So good. Terry says, "I'm older than everybody in the group. I was wondering why we can't have older heroines in historical romance and not always granny and old aunt. I would like to have a heroine plus or minus my age and also have an interesting story." Any thoughts on that, Lauren?
I've actually been toying with the idea of writing some older, I hate to say the word older because to me, old is like 90. Sure. Because I always have readers that tell me I'm old, not dead. You know, I love that the best. Yeah. Old, not dead. And I think it's one of those so I do have a character sub story. One of my rogues, the book 2, his Wicked Seduction, the hero in that has a mother, and she's had literally her oldest son is like 33. So you can do the math that she's in her 50s and she's doing her thing, and she married the love of her life and he died, and she's had like a ton of kids. She has like, I think she's got 3 boys and 1 girl. There's so many of them. I lose track of the Russell siblings, but they're all hilarious. But she's a strong, forceful character. She's a wonderful character. She's very loving. It's hilarious because she will make all 3 boys sit down and then boss them around. And then one of them will always lean back in his chair and fall over and crash. And it's this hilarious thing. And she literally, to get one of them married, she makes the other one one of the brothers seduce the intended hero's girl so that he'll like step up. She's like, "Well, your older brother's not acting on this. Lawrence, go seduce the girl that he likes," and he's like, "What? My mom just told me to seduce somebody." Like, it's very funny. But and I think it's book 12 because I have these secondary characters that get swept up in a missing girl story, and nothing bad happens to the girl missing. She just was kidnapped by a Scottish guy, and that's the whole point of the 12th book. But this mother from book 2, she has this wonderful side story where she falls in love again with another man that's trying to find his daughter, because it's his daughter that's missing. And so I did have a story like that in there, and I found it was very rewarding. And so I think I would have to know what your age group is that you're actually wanting, if you don't mind like specifying a general decade. That way I can kind of keep that in mind. Are we talking 40s? We're talking 50s? We're talking 60s? Like, give me an idea here. And then I can start, because I would love to do some more of that. And I think there's plenty of stories, and I think plenty of,
there's a market out there. There's a market out there.
Absolutely. Sure. Yeah. So you let me know the decade you're looking for, and I'm sure I can whip something out.
More books. We're so excited. I love it. I love what Deborah just said. I thought she was going to say old as 50s, and I'm going to trip up the stairs away from my 50s, and I was going to be upset.
No. 50s is young. 50s is young.
Like when we were doing Romance Readathon last summer, and they're like, is is 80s historical romance? And I was like, no, it's not. And they're like, no, it's 70s. I'm like, it is. What? No.
Right, the 70s was only like 10 years ago.
Right.
I was around for the 70s, but I sure did like
I wasn't either, but I remember.
Terry goes, I'm in my mid-50s and rarely see heroines more than mid-40s. That's true. It's true.
I haven't read very many.
Well, I'll start working on. I think another challenge, this is going to sound really stupid, but I think a challenge to older heroines is having stock photos with appropriately aged women, because I can't think of anyone that has what I would call pleasant looking middle-aged women. And I say that because I've seen some stock photos where they purposely make the woman who could be very lovely if she just was allowed to look normal, but they like literally frump her up. And I'm like, that doesn't have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be a thing. So if I could find some good stock photos or just have the hero on the cover, maybe we go with that.
You can start a new trend.
Yeah, a new trend.
Meryl Streep. Something. I love it. I've read some books about middle-aged ladies, but they seem to center on her husband dumped her and she has no self-esteem until some other guy hit on her. And I'm like, I'm 54 and super confident. You go sock. That's it.
Yeah, I think I would have to write. I mean, I think they do that for conflict's sake, but I also think because, especially in historicals, most women had to be married unless you're writing a spinster novel, which spinster is a whole other fascinating thing. So if anybody doesn't know, the word spinster originated from a woman who was a spinster, that was actually a business. So women didn't need to marry when they were actually doing their own spinning business. They made their own income and were self-sufficient, and men turned that word against them and made it sound like that they were unachieving, but in truth, those women never married because they didn't need to. They had money and sufficient means to support themselves. So I find that very fascinating. So I'm pro spinster.
Yay! I love it. That's awesome. Yes, 40s and 50s. There's a contemporary author I'm trying to think of. She wrote, oh, never mind. I'm not gonna be able to think of it. I'll mention it in Discord or something. But
Sharon Sala does a lot of really good older heroines. Sharon Sala for contemporaries.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't think of her name to save my life. Anyway, yeah, Isabella from Prior Attire could be a beautiful heroine. Ooh, I'm a spinster, never married, and looking and feeling good. That's
Me too. Never married, no kids. I'm happy to report.
I love it. Us ladies in our 40s are looking good. Just, some of us made humans and we aren't as slim or might be self-conscious about our bodies. This is true.
This is true.
I love it. Oh my gosh. So fun. Okay. So let me see if I have any more. Okay. Now you may not be able to answer this because I know you're still writing books in the series, but I was wondering, of the 3 books in your series that are out so far, do you have a favorite? That might be a really hard question.
Oh, they're all, I don't know, they're all different because Roberta and Dom have a very specific dynamic. She wants to be free. She wants to do this crazy stuff. In book 2, Flynn is, so by the book, and, he's Mr. Boy Scout, and he literally falls for a total rule-breaking pirate queen. Like, she's like, I'm going to shoot first and ask questions later. Also, I have a ship. You don't. Ha, ha, ha. Like, actually, some of the closing lines in book 2 are really funny because people always want to think that Flynn is the captain, and he's like, oh, no, I'm just the first mate. He just, like, fully owns it. Like, it's so great. He's like totally unembarrassed. He's like, no, I'm just the first mate. And then book 3 is in some ways almost more of the traditional pirate story because that is, Josephine is a lot more young lady. She's been raised properly because she wasn't raised on a ship. She wasn't raised, as a pirate. She's just very, very proper. And her hero is very much like straight up traditional pirate, and literally to the point where he's like kidnapping her just to piss his twin brother off kind of thing. So it's very, book 3 is fun because it's traditional. But I love the other two because they're unexpected twists on the tradition. So it's hard to pick. I mean, it really is. And I say that I always love the book the most that I'm writing, you know, so whenever I start to write one particular book, I'm like, this was my favorite. And then I'm done with it. And I'm like, no, the next one's my favorite.
I love that though. That's perfect. That's what you want, right? I mean, that's that's amazing. Well, I feel like you've answered so many questions. I can't believe it. Already more than an hour has flown by. I thought maybe like a half hour mark. I have not paid attention. I cannot get over this. This is amazing. Now, so I'm going to open it up to everybody, and especially Tara, who's been so beautiful and wonderful and telling us some about her tabs. Is there anything else, Tara, that you wanted to ask, or anybody in the chat mention? Is there anything you wanted to say? Anything you wanted to ask the fabulous Lauren Smith?
And don't forget to look for your email for those covers I sent. For books 4 and 5, I sent the cover.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm so. Thank you. Okay, Tara, you say something. I do.
Put me on the spot, Bea, all the time.
I'm so sorry.
You're good.
I'm so glad Lauren reminded me. Oh my gosh. Oh, they're so nice. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I can't wait to see.
I'm so excited. Okay, I'm doing it. Okay, I'll just pull them up. Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna do my share. Oh my gosh, Lauren, this is so beautiful. Wait till you see, guys. Okay, here we go.
Oh my goodness, that's stunning.
So that's book 4, and that's going to be Dominic's little brother.
Okay.
And an English woman he rescues from a slave market in Africa.
Oh, so gorgeous. He's so cute too. I love it.
And that's the same model that played Dom. So it's kind of fun because then you can see that he looks like his brother, essentially. I did that on purpose.
I love it.
That is so cool. And I'm going to be thinking about like, oh, he went to the University of Tulsa.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. And here's book 5. Okay.
Wow.
So cool, Lauren. Oh my gosh.
So you can see the red hair she gets from her mom, Roberta, because she's Roberta
Yeah.
and Dominic's daughter. And then, yeah.
And I'm wondering, I'm intrigued. I'm like, what is happening here?
So the general story is that they were supposed to be betrothed since he's a few years older than her because he was born first. But Dominic and Roberta didn't have a kid for a couple of years. So she's like 4 or 5 years younger. And they were always betrothed from the moment she was born. And they were supposed to marry on a certain day. I haven't decided what age they were supposed to marry. But she decides at the last minute, this guy's not going to show. And she decides to skip her own wedding. So she goes to the docks and boards the ship, flies her way on, and she's hanging out. Meanwhile, he very reluctantly shows up for his wedding, and she's not there. And he's super pissed because his parents made him leave pirating to come get this wife that he didn't really think he wanted because he doesn't remember because the last time they met, she was like 14 or something. So anyway, he goes back to his ship very angry. They sail off and then they're like, I don't know, like a day out to sea. And his first mate's like, oh, by the way, we have a guest. And he's like, guest? We don't have guests on the ship. We're pirates. He's like, oh, well, I thought we needed the money for our next voyage. And it's her, but he doesn't recognize her. Whereas she takes one look at him and realizes, oh shit, that's my husband, or supposed to be husband. So she doesn't tell him who she is. So she goes by a fake name, which was her intent when she boarded the boat anyway. Cause she's like, well, I want an adventure. I'm going to go, visit other people in other countries and just do stuff. So he ends up falling in love with her on his ship, never knowing who she really is, until halfway through. And meanwhile, both of the parents are freaking out because both their kids have left town and they don't know what's happening. You can imagine, Ken and Dom are like, we got to go find our kids. And they're like, get the boats,
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. Do we know, is there a timeline? Do we know when books 4 and 5 are going to come out? Or is it too early?
I would say it's probably going to be, if book 4 comes out, it'll probably be late next year, which I know I hate saying, but if you get into my other series, you'll understand why.
Oh, I'm sure. You seem a little busy. You seem like you got a couple things going on.
And the pirate books they're very exhausting to write because I have to literally lug big books around with me to the library, and I look like a crazy person, and people ask what I literally have. People have thought I've been in college classes. People have thought I was a professor. Like the amount of research, and I have like ship diagrams, like all these like spiral bound notebooks. So I have to see what deck the ships are on, what type of guns, and all this kind of stuff. I just look like a lunatic, and so it's physically tiring, and then it's very mentally tiring because there's a lot of scenes, a lot going on, bigger cast of characters, and so I like to take breaks, which is why I write so many different things. So I'll write a historical, then I'll go write a paranormal, and then I'll switch to like a fantasy, and then jump back to contemporary. And then by that time I'm ready for historical again. So it's kind of like this little rotation. So I always tell readers, I'm like, please be patient. I will write that story that you're looking forward to someday.
I have to ask, you mentioned law school. Are you also a lawyer right now? Or are you what?
So this is the type of person I am, which explains why I've done 85 stories in 10 years since I first published, is that I went into college with 1 year totally done between advanced placement courses and then taking college classes at night when I was in high school. And then, so I was only in college for 3 years, and then I went straight to law school. And when I went to law school, I decided to pick a law school that partnered with a Canadian law school. So I went to a Canadian law school and an American law school at the same time. So instead of doing just one law degree in 3 years, I did 2 law degrees in 3 years. So it was double the work, double the finals, double the classes. I was crossing the border multiple times a day to go to class in Canada, over in Windsor, and then coming back to Detroit for regular classes. And so I started writing romance kind of in that period because I needed a deep stress release because law school was very stressful. So I have 2 law degrees, one from US and one from Canada, and I can practice in America. I can't practice in Canada, but I can advise in Canada. I just haven't passed the bar in Canada because it was at the same time as my US exam. And I worked as a lawyer till 2017-ish, and then I sort of semi-retired. So my law licenses are still active, but now I write full time, and I don't actually, at least knock on wood right now, have to go back to the law. So just because it's a lot, you can't be fully in 2 worlds. And I did that for many years. And I actually have a lot of funny stories about, I have written books in the basement of courthouse bathrooms that had like antechambers with huge wooden desks. Like I would be like in there typing, and like someone passes through to like go to the bathroom, and I'm like, have fun, toilet stall number 3 doesn't have any paper. Like, like sitting there, like, and then I literally, so I write all my books by hand. Fun fact. You can see my blank, I'm gestured the wrong way. Blank notebooks. There we go. There we go.
See, right behind you.
All my notebooks of books they're all blank paper, not to be written in yet. So whenever I finish one, I grab another notebook down and I slap a little, label sticker on there and write what the title is and get going. And I have specific pens that I like, and, ones that write really smoothly, because when you write by hand, you're talking, 120 pages of handwritten text that I then dictate into a dictation software. And so I don't like legal pads. So I'm sitting in court one day and I'm waiting for my case to be called, and I just writing away, because I can write with a lot of distractions going on around me. As long as I know nobody needs me in that moment, my brain can tune out everything and I can just focus. And in fact, I actually focus better with like ambient distraction around me. It's when I'm in a room alone that I'm like, like tell a squirrel. So I'm sitting there working and I don't have a legal pad. Well, lawyers use legal pads. And so I'm sitting there with like a spiral bound, like 5-star notebook, and I'm just like rocking along. And finally the judge in between cases, he goes, "Miss Smith, are you writing a goddamn novel over there?" He was like all grumpy because apparently my feverish writing was distracting him. And I actually stood up and I said, "Yes, Your Honor, I am." And he did like a double take and he was like, "What?" I said, "No, I'm writing a novel, Your Honor." And he goes, "Seriously? Are you published? Is this your first book?" And I'm like, "Oh no, this is like book like 17 or something at that point." And he was like, "Well, can I have a copy of your book?" And so I brought him a copy of my book, and he put it in his office on like a little stand. So when anyone would go into his judge's chambers, there's like my book like behind his head.
Oh my God.
It was so funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
cool.
Oh, that is so fun. That's so fun. Okay, and now I have got to show you some of these comments. I love it. Talking about the covers, gorgeous. I love what Deborah said. "Ma'am, shush up and take my monies." And April said, in regards to your comment about not having stock photos of older women, she goes, "I'll take some selfies." Megan goes, oh my gosh, right, Lauren, right. I need these stories. And the covers, right? The covers, I'm so in love. It sounds delightful. Yes. Oh my, I'm loving these covers. I'm ordering those the day they come out. Please take my money.
And if anybody ever wants to buy signed copies from me, I mean, I literally, I just charge you for what the book is wholesale to just get it to my house. And then I usually cover media mail shipping. So you can get my email address from anybody, or you can contact me through my website. And I want to get signed books to you guys. And if you read everything, I recommend joining my Patreon at the $10 tier, because those guys have made out like bandits. I did cover redos for several series, and they got like print books every month last year for like a year and a half. So they got like 14 books in 14 months.
Oh my gosh.
Like print books to their house.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I will put a link to your Patreon in our description box after the show. So yes, that'll be great. So
I'm not saying that to make a ton of money. It's just an easy way to never miss an ebook or a print book. And then I have an audio and merch tier as well, where if you're like wanting audiobooks and merch when they come out. So
very cool. Oh my gosh, Lauren, that's amazing. I love what Max said. Lauren Smith, pirate scholar. Well said.
I know so many things about pirates, like way too many things.
I love Rachel. Reader, when did you become a law firm expert? Writer, last night. I love that you research and make your book as authentic as possible. Truly. I didn't appreciate that when I was reading. So now I know to really pay attention when I read future books. I love to know about those backstories.
The thing is that yeah, I think the backstories are fun, and I think it's important to, I was a history major, so I want things to be accurate, and real history was incredibly fascinating and way more interesting than what we think of. Like, I have a friend that she writes regencies, and she keeps them very politically correct and very, well, this was the law in Regency England, or this was the society rule in Regency England. I'm like, well, people broke rules back then the way they do now, and that's where the fun is, so she's like, well, you never have them wear gloves to dinner, and I'm like, who cares I don't care about what gloves they wear to dinner. I'm just not going to mention the gloves at dinner. Nobody cares about that. Unless there's a scene where he's taking the glove off under the table, and then that's fun. So I skip a lot of things that a lot of writers will fixate on, like a lot of like the super social stuff, and I don't necessarily break, but if I'm breaking a rule, I'm doing it on purpose. But I think it's more fun that way. Like the character I'm writing right now for Her Wicked Highwayman, which is that wonderful hero I was talking about, who's the highwayman and he's just always getting into trouble. The heroine lives completely alone except with her servants, because her entire family has basically died over the course of so many years, and she's having to manage this estate entirely by herself. So she's kind of like, everybody knows she's alone, but she's sort of staying under the radar. And that really wouldn't have been super allowable for a certain period of time. A lot of men would start pressuring her to marry. Her assets would probably want to be taken, and because there's no the next male heir would get it, that kind of thing. So I'm playing this very interesting game where you have this heroine that's really breaking a lot of rules, but of course she's going to fall in love with this guy that's a total Mr. Rule Breaker, And I think that's important to show that there were a lot of these things that did happen like this. Like crazy things did really happen in history, and rule breaking really did happen. And so that's why my books are all about rule breaking, but they're still accurate.
More fun too. Megan says, I love how you teased book 2 in book 1's epilogue. Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah. Do you always do that to get your readers invested?
It's a two-part answer. There's an answer as a writer. I always seem to get myself into trouble because I'm like, oh, I know where the next book's going, gotta tease them, because I'm excited to share that, because in my world nothing ever stops. Like, it's an ongoing just adventure from like one book to the end. But I also have a very Machiavellian business reason for that, and that when I do have the next book up, you have to know, after being hooked by that setup, you've got to get the next book. So there is a business reason behind it, but I didn't come to that from a business perspective first. When I was a baby author, before I knew anything about business, I came to that as guess what? You're going to want to know what so-and-so's up to. And I had to just put that in. And then later I saw that there was a good financial reason for that. And I was like, okay, we're doing that. I don't do all the books, but most of them, especially when the characters are so tied,
And it's so fun too. I loved that. I love that. So often in epilogues, not that I dislike the epilogues, but it's usually just, we had a baby. I'm like, great. But this one was, I'm like, oh gosh, now I need to read this next book. It's just so fun.
Exactly.
I love
ultimate cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, they do that in shows and movies, and I mean, it's fun. It's
exactly.
fun. And by the way, I noticed Megan is so good. She said her comment again because she thought I missed it. I was coming back to it, Megan. I was coming back because I just saw it again at the bottom. I'm like, wait a minute, this is the one I highlighted. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love when the epilogue is a taste of the next book. Yeah, I think that's just brilliant. Just brilliant. Oh my gosh.
You
okay.
don't feel like you want to leave the world. You want to feel like you're staying with the world and the world isn't over. I want to make that promise that, hey, we're still in for this. This is, still more stories. Don't hang up on it yet, Yeah,
I just love it. And I know we're not going to. I know a lot of the group, they've already read book 2 at least. Some people have told me in DMs and things that they've read all 3. They're just so excited. And I know I'm just so excited. There's so much to come, especially when you consider the backlist. I personally have exhausted all of my topics that I was going to say. If anybody has anything else in the chat, or Tara, is there anything else that you wanted to mention? Or Lauren, is there anything you want to bring up? If anybody wants to share before we start to leave for the afternoon or whatever time it is.
I pretty much randomly threw in all those mentions of those other books just because my brain is like that. I'm like, I've got this coming out and this coming out. I'm finishing this, but yeah,
it's so fun. This was so fun. This was so fun. I love what Lainey said. I can't wait to jump into book 2. Your strategy definitely worked on me. Me too, Lainey.
Yes. Me too. I have just a quick question about, you said you had a Lucifer-like book, and I didn't catch the title. Yes. And I love Lucifer, the show, so I want to know what it is. What the title
is called Midnight with the Devil.
Okay.
And it's a black cover with 2 guys, very sexy hands, and he's got like a cigar cutter and a cigar, and he's like, you just see the hands on the cover.
Okay.
And that book, depending on who you are, you might ugly cry at the end of that book a little bit, because it's a happy ending, but there is some bittersweetness to it, but I can't spoil it for you. And that is, again, one of those unexpected endings. I honestly didn't know how I was going to end that book. And then when I wrote it, I was like, this is the only way it could have ended. But it's also heartbreaking, but it's also happy at the same time. Like, it's so complex.
This cover looks so familiar, and now I'm wondering, did I save this already in my Goodreads? I'm looking at it because I know me.
I love it.
And I will say about this book, if you're someone who's very, very overly religious, I do raise some philosophical questions. I do not challenge Christianity. I do not do anything like that. I don't say Christianity's not real, nothing like that. Okay. Because one lady, a random lady, emailed me and said that I was going to hell and everything and all this crazy stuff. But I don't fetishize the devil. I don't fetishize evil. I don't do any of that. Instead, I ask a question about, if love is the most powerful force in the universe, shouldn't it be able to save anybody, even the person who's guarding the gates of hell? So that's the question about. It's the entire book. It starts super dark and it ends super light. And it's just a truly philosophical exercise about the power of love and what we believe love can accomplish. And I think that's kind of a cool thing. So if you go into it just very open-minded and just, embracing it, kind of like if you enjoyed Lucifer, you just roll with it,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
You said that, I was like, yep, that is.
He does a lot of really funny things. Like at one point, she's trying to buy some angel food cake to go cook for like a barbecue, and he's like, "Angel food cake? How will we get devil food cake?" She's like, "No," and he's like, he's just basically running amok in a grocery store, and she's like, "I have a 5-year-old. What is this?"
That's great. That's great.
He gets into fights with her guardian angel all the time because her guardian angel is like constantly pissing him off, and it's very funny.
That's awesome. That's so fun. Max wants to know, what is your next release in both your names, Emma Castle and Lauren Smith? What are we looking for?
Okay. So my next Lauren release will probably be in the next week and a half. It's going to be Choose the Bear. And then I'm just literally working on edits. So it's very much what you expect. It's just a shifter story that it deals a little, almost all shifter stories are basically a choose the insert animal story, but choose the bear, I do get into the little heavier discussion of the trauma of being attacked by somebody you've dated. So there is some, I don't want to say there's a trigger warning, but you know going in that she will have been attacked in the woods and that she's been saved by a bear that then becomes a man. And so there's a lot of her learning to revalue herself because she deals with that psychological, this person that I was dating made me lose who I was. You know, I stopped doing the things that I love to do. I stopped seeing value in myself because this other, which is a very realistic relationship thing that a lot of people that date narcissists or marry narcissists or in relationships with narcissistic people and sociopathic people, they fall into all of this, you know, kind of very subtle abuse over time. And I wanted to sort of address that in a book. But like I said, the hero is he's, even though he's a bear shifter and he's, you know, super alpha and everything, he is very much sweet and caring and kind and gentle and, you know, very like the big gentle bear, you know. And at one point when he's hugging her, she realizes, oh, this is an actual bear hug because he's a bear. It's very cute. So that's the next book. And then later this fall, probably if by the end of the year for sure, Her Wicked Highwayman will come out next under Lauren. Oh. And then
Lauren, wait, is that another pen name?
No, Lauren. Her Wicked Highwayman, Lauren
Lauren,
Smith.
I'm sorry. I thought you said Warren for some reason. I'm so sorry.
No. And the Her Wicked Highwayman cover has the same hero from the Wicked Rivals cover, same physical therapist guy, and he plays the two brothers that look alike. So I like to do that if I can get the same models and, you know, but he's got a different haircut.
I love it.
Yeah. And then the Labyrinth book will come out probably in the spring under Emma.
Oh boy.
And I didn't even mention I have a cozy mystery pen name. So if anybody likes to rock cozy mysteries, I've written 2 cozy mysteries.
I feel like Megan likes cozy mysteries.
Yes, we do like cozy mysteries.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Okay, tell us about that.
So under Daphne Hunt, I always try to pick names that speak things to me. So Daphne from like the Scooby Gang, and then Hunt is just like one of my favorite British names. So I've just written 2 little short, one's like a short novella, and then one's like a longer, like a longer novella or a short novel, depending on how you look at it. And there's a Egyptian cat that basically helps this girl lawyer who I thought, why write I've never written myself into a book. So I wrote about this girl that goes to England on a vacation, and then she accidentally frames a guy for murder on accident, kind of, and gets him arrested. And he's like this super hot, like British banker that like inherits a family's estate after his dad's like murdered, and he gets thrown in prison for it. And then he ends up falling in love with her anyway. It's not steamy. They're very closed door because they're under a different name. I was going for the cozy crowd, but very much a romance arc embedded in that. And she doesn't like cats, and naturally she's stuck with this cat. So
so cute. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's so fun. Okay, I think we could just read nothing but your books and just be totally booked. Look. For next year.
For a few years.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, this has been such an incredible time. This has blown my wildest expectations. I was excited. And I mean, just seriously, Lauren, you're amazing. We've got to have you on again at some point.
Absolutely, anytime.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Yeah. We're saying thanks, Lauren. Thank you guys, everyone, for coming on this afternoon. Well, for me, it's the afternoon. Sorry. I keep forgetting it's not afternoon. But yeah, this has been just amazing. Is there anyone, Tara, did you want to say goodbye? Lauren, I'm always talking too much. Like,
just thank you for writing such an amazing book. And I'm just so excited to like read more.
Well, I really appreciate everybody reading it. And I would say, you know, if you have other romance friends, you know, please share about it. Competition's getting so difficult these days with AI books flooding the market and everything. So word of mouth, you know, telling your friends, oh my gosh, this book I read is the most amazing thing. Sharing it in reader groups, you know, feel free you can take my covers, you can quote from my books, like make videos, do whatever you want. Like you have full access to make fan content or post about my books and use my covers and stuff to share, you know, anything that will help spread the word. I appreciate that deeply because that makes a lot of difference to break through the noise on the Amazon store and the other stores. So
sure. Absolutely. Happy to do it. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been great, and be looking for our next next month Tara's going to be hosting sprints and the book
and the
club.
live show.
And the live show. And we'll have more posts about that. When is the sprint? Do you know offhand?
October 10th, I believe we decided, correct?
October 10th. Yes, you did.
October 10th will be the sprint.
Awesome. So we'll look, and you'll see posts from us. So anyway, this has been lovely. Thank you all again. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.